The following program has been brought to you in part by Sennheiser and the Airline Pilots Association.
The Department of Transportation reports legacy carriers are turning profits. Spirit pilots earn their battle stars. The Federal Aviation Administration reports an increased number of laser occurrences in the U.S. And airline pilots spread holiday cheer to special needs children and families. These stories and more coming up in this edition of The Flight Deck. Hi, I'm Sharon Varab. Welcome to the first edition of The Flight Deck. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, legacy airlines have returned to profitability. In fact, the recently released data for last year's third quarter profit margin is the highest since the department started reporting in 2002. Delta Airlines topped the charts, reporting $6.2 billion in passenger revenue, followed by American Airlines at $4.5 billion. United and Continental, still reporting separate numbers in 2010, following their merger, round out the group with $3.7 and $2.8 billion respectively. The Department of Transportation did not include regional airline information in this quarter's results due to incomplete data. On January 1st, the Airline Pilots Association International welcomed a new slate of national officers. Serving as the association's 9th president is Captain Lee Moak. Captain Moak is a Delta Airlines pilot and a former military fighter pilot. He has been an ALPA member since 1988. Captain Sean Cassidy, an Alaska Airlines pilot, now serves as ALPA's first vice president. Captain Cassidy, also a former military pilot, joined the association in 1996. Captain Bill Coet will continue to serve as the union's vice president administration secretary. Captain Coet, an American Eagle pilot, was re-elected by acclamation. Pilots also re-elected Captain Randy Helling as the union's vice president finance treasurer. Captain Helling is a Delta captain and flew for Northwest Airlines. ALPA representatives from the union's 38 airlines voted in this new slate of officers who will serve a 4-year term. Also elected were ALPA Canada board members, the union's leaders that promote ALPA's interests before the Canadian Parliament, regulatory, and other government agencies. Captain Dan Adamus, a 25-year veteran of Jazz, was re-elected as Canada board president. Captain Nick DeCintio, a 22-year veteran of Jazz, was elected vice president. And Captain Bradley Small, an Air Transat pilot for 14 years, was elected secretary-treasurer. Spirit pilots recently accepted their battle stars, a badge of honor for any airline pilot who holds the picket line during a strike in the face of management. This is their story.
Captain Sean Creed, leader of the Spirit Pilot Group, proudly stood before the board members last fall to upgrade his ALPA wings to a battle star. At ALPA, pilots earn their battle stars for holding the picket line during a strike, in this case, nearly 500 Spirit pilots strong. According to Captain Creed, the support of his union made all the difference.
What we received was overwhelming. You showed up at all of our picketing events, our picket lines. You sent messages of encouragement, offers of support. No door was left unopened to assist this pilot group. This success would not have been possible without the assistance we received from every corner of ALPA.
Spirit Airlines refused to bargain in good faith back in June, forcing its pilots to revoke their services and leaving passengers stranded at airports across the country. While the Spirit pilots were fighting for an industry-standard contract, passengers pleaded with gate agents to help them reach their vacation destinations or travel back home safely. After 5 days of canceled flights and empty planes sitting at their gates, CEO Ben Baldanza offered a deal that increased Spirit pilots' pay and retirement benefits, protected their work rules, and ensured their job security. This victory demonstrated the resolve of the Spirit pilots and the unmatched resources of ALPA. I'm Mark Angolia on the Flight Deck.
The FAA just reported that the number of occurrences of pointing lasers at aircraft nearly doubled in 2010. Pilots reported 2,800 events last year, the highest number recorded in history. Los Angeles International Airport recorded the highest number of occurrences with 102, and Chicago O'Hare was a close second with 98. FAA Administrator Randy Babbitt said that the agency is actively warning people not to point high-powered lasers at aircraft, which can damage a pilot's eyes or cause temporary blindness. Coming up, Dr. Quay Snyder will talk about what medications are safe for pilots when flying.
From the first time I boarded a commercial plane as its pilot, I've embraced the responsibility I have to the safety of my passengers and crew. And I have the best flight gear, even the headset certified for commercial duty. It lets me concentrate on the task at hand, making this the safest flight my passengers will ever have.
The feature-packed HMEC 26 provides long wearing comfort and more than 18 dB of noise reduction. Try the HMEC 26 on your next flight and hear the difference for yourself.
Hi, this is Jason from Gaithersburg, Maryland. I want to ask the pilot if the autopilot can land the plane by itself.
Jason, that's a great question. The aircraft that I fly, the Boeing 767-300ER, has a special computer on it called the Autoland system. And it's coupled with the automatic pilot and our flight computers and navigation systems in order for the aircraft to land in adverse visibility. Basically, when the visibility gets really low, it's like an airport in Seattle, for example, we're required to allow the aircraft to land itself. The greatest component, however, is a well-trained pilot.
Cold and flu season is in full swing, and the FAA has strict limits on the medications airline pilots can take before flying the line. Here's Dr. Snyder from ALPA's Aeromedical Office with more information.
Medications and flying don't always mix. As pilots, it's important you know which medications could affect your flying or may not be approved for use by the FAA. The main concerns of the FAA are why the medication was prescribed and does the condition interfere with the ability to safely fly a plane. When you're feeling ill, remember the I'm SAFE acronym. Illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, eating. All of these can adversely affect flying safety. If flying will make your condition worse, such as an earache or a sinus infection, you should call in sick until your condition improves. If you're using medications, check to see if it says on the label that it may cause drowsiness. If it does, you can't fly while using it. Also, narcotic medications can cause a positive drug test, so always be aware of what you're taking. Although over-the-counter drugs are readily available, many have more serious side effects than prescription medications, so be sure to read the label completely before using them. There are some general rules of thumb you can follow when taking medications. Antibiotics and non-sedating pain relievers, such as Tylenol or Aleve, are allowed by the FAA if the underlying condition is improved enough to safely operate an aircraft. Topical medications, which are applied directly to the skin, and nasal steroid sprays are allowed without any prior clearance. Cholesterol-lowering medications and blood pressure medications are always allowed. Local anesthetics are fine if the pilot can perform all duties after the minor surgery. Always wait 48 hours after the last dose of narcotic medications before returning to duty. If your physician clears you for returning to duty, verify that clearance with ALPA's Aeromedical Office, your airline medical department, or an aviation medical examiner. If you have questions about medications, medical conditions, FAA policy, and reporting requirements, you can contact ALPA's Aeromedical Office at 303-341-4435. As always, all calls are strictly confidential.
And finally, a few heartwarming stories about ALPA pilots spreading holiday cheer this year in their communities, visiting kids in hospitals and delivering gifts to families. Pilots organized fundraising events for childhood cancer research, distributed foods and gifts to sick children, and hosted a dinner at the Ronald McDonald House on Christmas Day. The pilots said that serving others in their communities is the greatest gift they can give and reminds them of the true spirit of the holiday season. If you or someone you know goes above and beyond for others, either in your community or in the cockpit, we'd like to know. Please email us at FlightDeck@alpa.org. And did you know that you can watch and win on the flight deck? It's simple. On each program, we'll ask you a question about something from that episode. You then go to the FlightDeck website to submit your answer for a chance to win a Sennheiser headset valued at more than $800. So today's question is, what did the Spirit pilots earn and why? If you think you know the answer, go to our website at flightdeck.alpa.org, click on the contest link, and submit your answer, and you'll be entered to win. Thank you for watching the first episode of the Flight Deck. This program was developed for you. If you have any feedback about this episode or future stories you would like us to cover, please let us know at flightdeck@alpa.org. Thanks again, and I'll see you next month here on the Flight Deck.